Protesters demanding reparations and an apology from the royal family over the British Empire's historical links to slavery have gathered outside the British High Commission in Jamaica as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge land in the country for the second leg of their Caribbean tour. In the past, the royal couple would have been able to make a lovely visit to a jewel of the Commonwealth without scandal arising, but this is 2022 after all, so of course, Kate and Wills find themselves caught in another storm over Britain's colonial past, with members of the Jamaican elite protesting the trip in an open letter, accusing the royal family of having, quote, perpetuated the greatest human rights tragedy in the history of humankind. Now, local reports suggest Jamaica, which has a strong Republican movement, has already started the process to remove the Queen as head of state and become independent, following in the footsteps of Barbados. And was all this difficulty intensified by the antics of a certain, there she is, Meghan Markle, when she made unsubstantiated and anonymous allegations of racism within the royal family during her outlandish pack of lies interview with Oprah, prompting the infamous response from Buckingham Palace that recollections may vary. Well, Jamaican attorney and reparations advocate Bert Samuels told Newsweek William should come here with an apology, not only for slavery, but for the treatment of a black woman who had to run out of the palace with her husband. That's a strong issue, and that's a fresh wound. Look, let me tell you, Bert Samuels, Meghan wasn't forced out of the palace. She ran out in a hurry because she wanted to make the big moolah, the big bucks in Hollywood and become even more famous. She just used the British royal family. Darren Grimes, this is just madness, is it not? But look at the trouble that Meghan has caused for the royal family.
Absolutely right. I mean, let's not forget that Meghan, she left Queen and country and traded it in for whackery and wokery.
Well, me gain, that's what I like to call it, because that's what this was all about, Darren. She didn't give a damn about the British royal family.
Very true, very true. But Dan, what I would say to the charge that's laid at the door of today's royals about reparations and all these other things, colonialism. In the year, I want to take you back. I'm going to take you back quite some time, right, to the year 793, right? Mm-hmm. There was an attack that shook the continent of Europe to its core. A horde of Vikings came over from Norway and attacked the northeast of England, right? Monks were murdered at Lindisfarne, and what took place was a sort of regular plunder until a full invasion took place in 866. Now, Dan, I think I'm going to get together and set myself up a group and actually demand reparations from Norway and say that my northeast ancestors deserve to be respected and have their rights protected because of the pasts and basically in retribution for what Norway did in the past. But on a totally serious note, Dan, right? This isn't anything new. There have been activist groups in Jamaica for quite some time now. Now they use Meghan Markle as an excuse. Utter tosh. Saying that Her Majesty the Queen is guilty of human rights abuses and that British taxpayers owe reparations. There's a saying, Dan, that we use up here in the Northeast, and my mother always used to say it in the context of pushing me to do things. She'd say, shy bairns get nowt. And this basically means if you don't ask, you don't get. Now, this is what I see happening here, right? This is a few chancers saying, and why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you chance it and ask the British taxpayer to part with their cash and justify it by raising the horrific atrocities?
They're threatening us, though, aren't they, Darren, because of the Republican movement. They're essentially saying, you give us reparations or we're out.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I fundamentally, I believe in the right of self-determination. I believe in the right of nation states and democratic rights and all these other things, really important principles. So if they want to do that, absolutely fine.
So you would say goodbye Jamaica rather than paying the reparations?
I would, because let's not forget how much taxpayer cash was spent in seeking to make amends in the 1800s by using the might of the Royal Navy to quash the slave trade to vast expense to the taxpayer, and rightly so, because of the years and years of abuse of that trade and the practice of the trade in general. But there is absolutely no apology necessary, Dan, by the modern monarchs, right? There is no reason for Jamaica to feel that it needs to keep Her Majesty the Queen as their head of state should they not wish to do so, right? Our relationship with Jamaica now is based on international trade. It's based on the Commonwealth, which, let's not forget, members are free to leave, right? This is no club of empire. This is a democratic club, which the members are free to come and go. One that's based on mutually beneficial aid and cooperation. I think pushing democracy and other shared aims, Dan, is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful thing. And let's not forget, right, fundamentally, were there to be payments of reparations made by British taxpayers, as you well know, this country is one of the most diverse nations on earth, right? One of the most multicultural nations on earth. We would find ourselves in the utterly bizarre scenario in which descendants of slaves in this country, British citizens, would be handing over their hard-earned cash in reparations to citizens in other democracies that are descended from slave owners. It would be a complete and utter unjustifiable farce. Right?
It would.
I think
it would. It's a total fallacy, Darren. It is a total fallacy, and it shouldn't happen. But the reason I'm so angry is that they're using this propaganda from Meghan Markle to add to their cause and try and paint a picture of our 95-year-old monarch as some sort of racist. And anyone who knows anything about the Queen knows that couldn't be further from the truth. And so I say shame on Meghan Markle, and shame on the propagandists in Jamaica who are using her lies to advance their political cause.
Absolutely. If you consider the really important things that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are doing out in Jamaica, celebrating the legacy of Bob Marley, meeting the Jamaican Defence Force and staff at a hospital, there'll be many there that are absolutely delighted, Dan, to see members of the British royal family doing such things. And I say, in any democracy as vibrant as Jamaica's, people of Jamaica are free to decide if they want to become a republic. But all I can say, Dan, is look at President Biden, right? That should be a warning to anyone that wants to do such a thing.
Well, of course. But, Darren, I want the people of Jamaica to make that decision based on facts.
Yes.
And the Queen loves the people of Jamaica. And the Queen is not a racist woman. And this implication, which Meghan made, that the Queen is somehow overseeing a racist royal family, has done damage. That's all I'm saying. It was always going to do damage. They knew what they were doing in that Oprah Winfrey interview. They were damaging the monarchy. They were damaging the royal family. And that's why it's so disgraceful. Because all they wanted, Darren, was big bucks. That's all they wanted, and lots of attention. But in consequence for their actions, they've damaged the royal family. Final word to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do believe they have, and I do believe that that's why it was absolutely right that this meddling pair have absolutely nothing to do with that most cherished institution, a really important institution that's seeking to bolster things like international trade.
Indeed. And the Jamaicans will see through it. The Jamaicans will see through it because they'll know, like me, and they'll know, like you, that Meghan's just a big fat liar.